Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel for another quick video. This time I'm playing against Zadras and I am playing Tasigur the Golden Fang, if you can tell by the title already. Zadras, for their credit, is playing a green-white commander. Here we go. Krond the Dawn-Clad. Pretty cool Voltron green-white commander. I definitely think it's probably maybe tier 2.5. I think on 75% tables it has potential as a sleeper style deck. And it has a very powerful ability. If it attacks while enchanted, exile target permanent. It's targeted removal on a stick, and it gets that sort of drawback of auras that tend to be, if they kill the creature, you lose the aura and you get 2 for 1. Krond, as long as you only keep a single aura on him, you can attack and exile permanent, and now you've gotten a 1-for-1 trade with your aura. And every secondary attack or tertiary attack is a 2-for-1 or 3-for-1 as you go. Even if someone kills your Krond, you lost 1 aura, they lost a kill spell and whatever they exiled. So, because you got to keep in mind, killing a commander isn't actually card advantage, it's card disadvantage. And that is where Tasigur shines. Not only is it card disadvantage, but it's not even mana disadvantage. So I see a very capable opening hand. I have Baleful Strix, which I just talked about in my recent video about including in the deck. And I think it's proper here, and it's got some very potent abilities. Comes down early, it's good early advantage. I have a beautiful mana draw, Overgrown Tomb, Bloodstained Mire, and Snow-Covered Forest. Seedborn Muse for late game, and removal the first time Krond comes down. So definitely great. My opponent is a fantastic sport this game also. Big shout-outs to Zadras. So let's see what we got going. Crows and Verge, pass turn. Let me pop up the chat for you. We have a good talk every now and then. And jump to my turn. I pick up the Barrymore. I'm going to go Bloodstained Mire, pass. My opponent, Forest, I'm going to fetch out the Sunken Hollow just because I'd rather be able to draw Watery Grave and have it come in untapped later. Sunken Hollow is guaranteed to be tapped now, so might as well get it out of the way. Pick up Entomb. Well, that is a spicy meatball. I'm going to go with the Thrasios first because I don't have the mana for Baleful Strix. I'd rather deploy Thrasios, maybe have him eat a little bit of removal if they got it. I'm not worried about losing value on Thrasios because I have Tasigur's Seedborn Muse as a value engine in this game also. Honestly, if this deck had a secondary commander, it would be Thrasios. And I kind of wish the partner ability was you may have a second commander if this card shares the full or that commander contains this card's entire color identity or something. So you could only partner Thrasios with blue-green or blue-green X commanders. Although it would mean all 5 color commanders suddenly have a partner within them. So I can understand why they didn't want to print that. Or maybe like if it costs more and shares a color identity. I don't know. But then all blue Thrasios still partners with Edric, and you get a very bad format at that point. Alright, still, I think it's... I don't know how I feel about the partner mechanic, but Thrasios on his own is good. Crows on Verge, and I talk about here, they didn't go for the Temple Garden or the Battle Land. It's not Horizon Canopy. I don't think it's Horizon Canopy. I think that's the Pay Life Land. It's part of the cycle from Grove of the Burn Willows, Reign of Tears, Nimbus Maze, Horizon Canopy, and Graven Cairns, the Future Sight cycle. So I'm just going to get in, and I'm going to deploy the Baleful Strix here. Unfortunately, I still don't have Entomb open with the Strix. I shock myself off the Tomb, pick up the Hinterland Harbor. Alright. Well, my mana is going to be perfect this game. If my deck win the mana battle, we'll win the game. I can agree with that opponent, and they're probably correct. The Krond probably has a better high end than my Tasigur deck. This is somewhat of an edit. The next time I go into the deck and fetch, I will stop and show you the current list that it's working at. I did cut the Gitrog monster, actually, in this iteration, I believe. I think my current deck list is updated to include that cut. Tranquil Thicket. Alright, so now I have two cycling lands. Amazing. I have Entomb to go get the Life from the Loam. I am in business here. So I'm going to play the Hinterland Harbor. Get in with my creatures. Just a little bit of poke damage. And I'm going to deploy the sword here. And the reason I'm deploying the sword here is My opponent is right. If they develop mana faster than I can, because I don't have any additional land drops, if they can develop faster than me, they're going to be playing Haymaker spells that I really cannot answer. They'll be able back-to-back cast Krond, and I only have one removal spell for it. The chance of me getting them giving me the reality shift, short of any other options when I activate Tasigur, is pretty slim. So I gotta get the sword down, and it means double mana for me in 2 turns. That's effectively all sword is saying to me. And I leave up the mana to be either cycle either card or use the Entomb. I'm naturally going to plan to use this Entomb here. Krond comes down. Well, I got the removal. And conveniently, this turn is going to be exactly what I need. So I'm going to dredge the life from the loan in draw step. I really hate that it pops the whole screen over like that when it shows up there. All right. Let's close the commander section. Don't need that. You guys know who I'm playing. I'm going to sort up the Thrasios, cycle the Barrenmoor, and cycle the Thicket. And I'm just doing this because I want to be mana efficient, and I pick up the 3rd cycling land. Conveniently, it's tap land, so I can play it out right away, and it's going to untap underneath the sword. Crash in. I'm going to keep the Strix back just in case for some reason this reality shift doesn't happen. I can't possibly see how that would, but you never know. Keep the Strix back. I know my opponent wouldn't block the Strix, but I'd rather have the blocker as well. Untap my lands. My opponent discards an additional land that they had. Now here's where this deck really starts to churn. I get to Life from the Loam back, Bloodstained Mire, Barrenmoor, Tranquil Thicket. I've already played a land this turn though. And I got to Reality Shift Krond, and I'm going to keep up cycling plus blue. So they know I have the Thicket to be able to cycle, but I also representing that I could have something like Force Spike. You never know. I did cut Force Spike out of this iteration now for Negate, which I realized that wasn't in the list for some reason. Sure, it's all luck, and my opponent says the Manifest card is a Wrath, and this is where I disagree with the opponent in this sense. Make me think this might be a flyer. Maybe it'll block my Baleful Strix. I don't know. So even that little bit of information, now I know that my opponent can't turn this card face up for its mana cost and block Baleful Strix that's going to be holding this sword next turn. I naturally have to move it over because Manifest creature can block Thrasios now because this is only pro black-green. This is a colorless creature. So I need to move the sword over, and I missed that line. I forgot about the reality shift. It should have been on the Strix naturally, but Thrasios, I cared more about having the Strix on defense. So if they attack, I would have snap locked here, and then Thrasios can still keep getting in. So I guess there's thought to explain why sword went to Thrasios instead of the Strix here. It should have gone to Strix, I think, in the vacuum though. Oracle of Moldiah. Well, that's pretty good. Bounce land off the top is also great for them. I don't know why they played their land first if they were going to be playing this Oracle here. They played the Nykthos out, and I definitely disagree. If you're going to play the Oracle on the turn, you don't play land drops first. Yeah, for my Granger, I believe, is on top. It's ETB, search library for basic, put it on the battlefield, tap shuffle library with Echo. It's basically a bad Farhaven Elf. That's the card. Shielded by Faith. Aura, enchanted creatures. Indestructible. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, you may attach Shielded by Faith to that creature. Pretty cool enchantment. Very neat with Krond as the commander because it allows you to deploy your aura pre-Krond cast and then immediately give him something like Indestructible, which is probably an effect that a Flying Vigilance creature wants. That you spent a ton of mana on as far as investment goes. So I like it. I'm going to cycle this Thicket, dredge back Life from Loam, hit Arbor, Maze of Wraith, Birds. Alright, so now is the turn for Tasigur to shine. Let me pop him out because I know it's going to shift over. I'm going to fetch away. Here's the deck. So cards that I added are Ancient Excavation, which I think is going to do really well. It came out in the new Commander product, and it's in the Treasure Chest online. It's only like 30.3 tickets on MTGO right now, or if that. Draw cards, equal number of cards in your hand, then discard a card for each drawn this way. Each card drawn this way with basic land cycling. So it's a little bit of land fixing for 2 mana. But the instant speed windfall my hand into the best of double that size seems pretty good in a Tasigur build, especially with the fact that I'm filling my graveyard to be able to recast Tasigur. Like if they kill Tas and I had mana open to activate, I can instead Ancient Excavation. pick up a new hand, ditch a bunch, refill the yard to feed Tasigur back into play. I think it's going to do really well in this deck. I added in Putrefy for a little bit more spot removal. I added in, let's see, the Simic Growth Chamber, which wasn't in the iteration for some reason. I cut the Mystic Confluence. I was finding that more often than not, it wasn't really doing what I needed it to do. It wasn't... more often than not, I didn't have the mana for it. I was short the blue mana, or they by the time I got the second blue mana, they had already ramped out ahead of me. So I cut it. I'm playing stuff low on the curve at this point, so I just wanted to test it out a little bit. But yeah, Putrefy came in, Ancient Excavation, the Simic Growth Chamber. So now I'm playing a full 40 lands, which is updated in the tapped out profile. And what's the other one? There's another card added. Maybe you'll see it. I'm playing all of the snow lands for the Into the North. Psych, counter, Cephalid. In my hand? No. Oh, the Strix. I don't know what I'm going on about. Yeah, it's the Baleful Strix. So, just a couple edits. I still like having the Sky Shroud Ranger and Sakura Tribe Scout in the deck for the value of putting extra lands into play. And I just picked up an Azusa, which will be added to this deck probably by the time this is uploaded, and it will be updated on the tapped out as well. And I think Azusa is going to be better in the deck than because it holds a sword at the very least. Azusa is going to be much better in the deck than the Exploration, and I spent a fraction of the cost on Azusa. Alright, so let's delve away, and this is why I'm using Tasigur as a commander instead of like Thrasios plus the blue-black partner or green-black partner, just to add that color, is Tasigur lets me sculpt the graveyard a little bit better to feed into his activations. So I'm taking out Mazavith. I don't see it relevant. Their commander triggers on attack, not damage, so Maze isn't going to do anything for me. I really don't want to be giving birds back. Dryad Arbor, it's a land. They can't give it back to me off Tasigur anyway. Tribe Scout, I don't really need it. I have Sword of Feast and Famine, Seedborn Muse, and my regular lands per turn, so I'm good in the land department, so I'm going to pull that out. Oh no, I leave that down there. Oh, because I have Life from the Loam going, so I want the extra land drop. So I leave Gilded Drake, which is creature removal for Krond. I have Reality Shift, which is creature removal for Krond. Land, and extra ramp. So right now I foresee getting back extra ramp, because they're not going to give me two sources of creature removal, one of which is a mind control. I'm going to move the sword over, and I think for a sec, realize I'm going to cycle first, get Green Sun, and now I'm going to loam, pick back up. I'm going to leave the Bloodstained Mire down there. I really don't need it. I have the Snow-Coated Forest. I've already hit a black basic. I just want to pick up the cycle lands, and by leaving this down here, it gives me potential food to delve away to Tasigur still. And it not getting stranded in my hand, and me having to spend a land drop to put it back into the graveyard, which is the whole reason about it. I'm not at the point of discarding to hand size, so I'd rather leave it in the graveyard, because the only other way to get it into the graveyard is by playing it and cracking it. And I don't want to have to waste my land drop just feeding Tasigur. I'd rather play a non-black land, or a non-shocking land, because this only gets black or black-blue through Watery Grave at this point. I untap my lands, I think for a sec, and let's see. Seedborn Muse. Seems good. It resolves. I'm going to cycle. I'm going to dredge back, hit crop rotation, land. Couldn't ask for better. So now I have land tutor, land ramp, removal. And I'm in a very commanding position. And even though my opponent has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8... potentially more once Nykthos goes online. They're going to have Granger plus land drop, so 9, 10 mana. I have 6 lands in play, but I have a Seedborn Muse, so that's 12 mana, and a Sword of Feast and Famine, so that's 18 mana over the course of my turn and my opponent's turn. Even if my opponent's turn I can only use Tasigur or Thrasios, still feels like I'm in a pretty good position, especially with these cycling lands that I have. I'm in the position that even though I can only activate Thrasios, I have something else to be able to do with my mana on my opponent's turn. So I can use 5 of 6 mana on my opponent's turn. So 17 effective mana over the course of mine and my opponent's turn. See a Spear Mantle on top, protection from creatures, doesn't bother me. It does stop Gilded Drake as a potential removal source, so I have to keep that in mind. Granger, they're going to fetch it away, though. See Austere Command on top of the deck. Sage's Reverie. All right. So they're going to draw a card. So what this does, it enters the battlefield, draw a card for each aura you control that's attached to a creature. So they'll draw 2 because this is also an aura. So they'll draw this Austere Command. They don't have the mana to cast it, notably. I'm going to cycle in response, make it look like I'm digging for something. Get a Yavi Coast. And they draw 2. Their other card drawn was Retether. Return each aura card on your from your graveyard to the battlefield. So that's pretty good. If they Wrath followed by Krond plus Retether, I think they'd be in a pretty good position. Lightning Greaves. Let's close that, and close Krond. So I'm going to start with Thrasios, and mostly I just want to hit a land here, because every land that I get is actually 3 mana, not 1 mana. So I see a Snow-Covered Island. Sweet. Hit my last basic, or last of the basic types, and pick up Negate. Well, that's fantastic for this incoming Austere Command that I saw. And this is when I overtap a little bit, realize I took the Gitrog monster out of the deck, and I Green Sun Zenith. I was going to get the monster here because I have this cycling, and I'm just going to bury him in card advantage with this Negate as backup. See that I cut it out. Decide Oracle Moldiah is just as good for card advantage. And if I had a Zusa here, I would have definitely gone for a Zusa over Gitrog Monster for the massive amount of land drops. Play Coast off the top. Pick up some more stuff. Baron more. Cycle, Dredge away Jace, Trinket. See Rex Sage. Crash in. Untap. And I Limdo's Vault here because I want to spend my mana. So I'm going to push some cards here. Pay some life. Don't need that. Don't want that. See Cyclonic Rift. That's what I needed. And there's Treachery in the same pile. And I think for a sec about building this, how I'm going to build this pile. I've already used both of my land drops. I'm going to Treachery their Oracle, so I'm going to have 1 additional land drop. I forget that I could put the Watery Grave in the correct position here. So I put Regrowth, Watery Grave, Swan Song, Psych Rift, Treachery. And I see Treachery on top. So now I'm going to cycle this Tranquil Thicket, pick up the Treachery. Treachery, their Oracle of Moldiah. Untap some lands. Untap 1 of each basic. Waste my land drop that I could have used. Life from the Loam. Oh no. Activate Thrasios, and I should have used Life from the Loam, pick up cycle, Breeding Pool, but I decided I used Thrasios instead. I would have been 1 more mana effectiveness. I would have had 2. I still would have had 3 open here, but I wouldn't have played this Forest. I'm going to draw the Cyclonic Rift, flash the Swan Song, and what I should have done was put the Watery Grave on top of the Swan Song, played the Watery Grave off of their Oracle of Moldiah's effect, and then revealed Swan Song. I would have had 1 more. I would have had the same amount of mana open by shocking myself off the Watery Grave coming in, so I would have had 2 open now. Life from the Loam, pick up that stuff, cycle to pick up the Swan Song, and I would have picked up, what would it be here? Picked up the Swan Song after revealing the Watery Grave. I would have had 1 untapped, cycle the Baron more, pick up the final card of the pile, which was Regrowth, and picking up Regrowth, I would have had exactly 2 mana open, be able to pick up that Reality Shift that I have sitting in the graveyard, and at that point the game is well and truly over. I have Swan Song Negate in hand, Reality Shift on board, I have their Oracle of Moldiah, Tasigur, Baleful Strix beating them down. I don't think there's any way that they come back from it, especially with end of turn Cyclonic Rift bouncing their Shield and Sage's Reverie. I think this was a great game, and once he sees the Swan Song and I'm cycling to draw it, they know I'm going to have the untap to counter their Austere Command. And my opponent was right. It was definitely a mana game, but I think they underestimated the power of Sword of Feast and Famine. I don't know if they had removal at any point during it prior to them getting the Oracle of Moldiah into play to be able to remove the sword, but it's really the strength of these untap effects in this style of deck. And even though Tasigur costs 4 mana or Thrasios costs 4 mana, at a certain point you don't care. You're paying for it. It is Jam Day Tome, and the deck wins by using Jam Day Tome to slowly eke out card advantage against your opponent. It doesn't matter what card you're getting, you are getting card advantage at the end of the day. Hope you guys enjoy the video. This one's not too long, thankfully. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video to anyone you think might enjoy EDH content. You can always get a hold of me on Reddit. I go by the same handle on there. I'm very active on the competitive EDH subreddit as well as the regular EDH subreddits. And let me know in the comments down below what misplays I make, what I could make better, what you'd like to see in the future, and if you're ever on MTGO, shoot me a message and see if you want to jam a game with me. Alright, see you all in the next one.